Welcome to the Mean Street Podcast with Brandon Benefield.
Hey, what is going on here?
Adam Howell.
Okay, I need 33 1/3 pounds of bacon.
Alfred Romero.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm like a dumpster.
And Adrian Moss.
Let's do this!
We use the word revolution because this is a revolution.
Hold one, arm drag. Woo!
The millions.
What? That's the big wiggle.
Look at all of this crap in this ring.
Hold two, arm bar.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
It's still real to me, damn it.
That's right, yet another podcast about professional wrestling. Seriously, guys?
Making their way to the ring at a combined weight of 776 pounds, the Mean Street
Podcast.
Hold three, the moss-covered, three-handle family Gradunzel. Two, sweet!
God almighty, the roof just came off.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is the Mean Street Podcast coming at you across the interwebs. It's me, Brandon Benefield, a.k.a. B-Double, if you will. And down below in the bottom left square, A-Bomb Too Sweet. What's up, man?
Could you make it to where I'm on the top, please?
Because
I am here to deliver some unbiased journalistic integrity to all the meanies out there. We're on this mean street that leads to a dead end. I'm here to silence the falseness by raising the standard and to impress myself and no one else with the show notes. Post-it show notes right there. Hit pause, read them, get the preview. And to my north is Alfred App Romero. How are you, brother?
Hello to the millions and millions of the meanies listening to our far-flung podcast radio program all up in your face as I'm live from the Max here at Bayside High School.
well, half of you is from the Max, it looks like.
Well, it's probably on the internet feed right here at the Max.
Well, the Max didn't really have very good internet back then.
I'm using AOL dial-up right now to keep up with what's going on right here. So I'm just waiting for Jesse and I'm waiting for Slater to get off on done with school, and we're gonna go have a senior skip day over to the beach.
Hey, Alfred, will you do me a favor and just don't accept any of the caffeine pills from Jesse?
Oh, I won't
Okay.
because
she was pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
Hey, Adrian's here. Alfred,
pass it on.
Great. Yeah, and also to let's just welcome in. He's all the way in Macon, Georgia, in Bibb County.
I'm
protecting. And my
theoretically,
man.
I guess
And
my
also,
body is. I think my body is still in Bibb County, but as you can see, I'm trapped in cyberspace here. I was trying to resurrect. I was trying to resurrect Miss Elizabeth with a old WCW action figure that I had, a la Weird Science 1985.
Oh, of course.
I just took the bra off my head, and now I'm here. I am stuck in cyberspace, guys.
And now you're waiting. You're just waiting for the results.
That's it. Just I'm trying to find my way out of here. It's there's a lot going on. I'm looking for that little trapdoor maze that has like the, you guys have seen Weird Science. You guys know what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is weird science, and there's a whole lot of weird science that's going on in the world today, and that's a great segue to our first point.
Weird science.
That's right. And you brought up Bayside Tigers, man. I was a big fan of the show Saved by the Bell. Great show from the 90s.
Go Bayside.
Of course, because we know we're always going to be friends forever. Always will be there to the end.
Yep, that's gold, Alfred. That's gold. And so
that reaction from Mossman made that completely worth it.
If you were a pro wrestling tag team, this is just random. This is off the top, off the cuff, off the top rope.
Yeah.
If you
Let's do it. Let's get crazy tonight. Let's get crazy. Okay, come on.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Let's do it. Just do it.
If you had a wrestling tag team with one person from Bayside, from Saved by the Bell, who would it be? Brandon, you go first.
Mr. Tuttle, without a doubt.
Who was Mr. Tuttle? Wait, who was Mr. Tuttle?
He was a little short teacher, and he waddled around. And I don't remember what class he taught. He's got a great name.
He was in one of the episodes where he was the driving instructor. The episode where Zach and Slater and all them was getting their driver's license, so they can get that date with Kelly Kapowski.
Hang on here. I gotta look this up right now. Maybe we can put this somewhere on the interwebs when we post this video. Oh, Mr. Tuttle, that's who you would pick?
Yeah, why not?
He looks like a barrel of a man.
I know.
He look at this, as Piper would say. Look at the size of that hammock.
Yeah.
He's like your 80s Captain Lou Albano. You know what I mean? Kind of a little.
Exactly like that.
Yeah, totally that size.
So that's.
If you're gonna compare, we lost.
Adam's frozen.
Oh, he's gone. We left.
I think it's because I'm cranking up the power here in the internet.
He's back. He's back.
Oh, he's back.
So we have Mr. Tuttle. That's a good choice. Adrian, who would your Saved by the Bell tag team member be?
I'm going
match.
I'm going Tiffany Thiessen all day long.
Oh,
yeah.
That's Kelly Kapowski, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
What do you mean? How'd you ask that question? Of course it is.
Remember their names.
I'm in cyberspace just trying to find pics right now, but I've got nothing. Like that woman is still like, I almost consider her one of my first loves.
Yeah,
she still looks amazing today. So
yeah.
And I'm sure she can throw it out. She looks like she can,
But so that means Adrian, you're going to go into the world of intergender tag team match, and I have to ask, like, who would your tag team opponents be in the intergender tag team match based in Bayside High School?
I would say, the Great Muda tagged up with
from Bayside.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to pick one wrestler and then one somebody from Bayside.
I was thinking like Screech and Violet or something. But yeah, go ahead.
No. I'm going to say the Great Muda and Lisa, I guess. Lisa.
Lisa. Yeah. Would Lisa also have the green mist?
She'd primarily use the green mist, yeah.
Actually, Tuttle and Turtle should go together. Now that I think about it, Turtle, Mr. Tuttle. Yeah. Anyways, Alfred, who's your pick?
Although, real quick, having the Great Muda just as himself on the show would be fantastic.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
I mean,
like, if it comes out. I mean, like, no matter what happens, like when Lisa breaks her ankle, he just comes out and hits her with a green mist.
Yeah,
the sprain has to be, that's her dance move, so it's got to be worked into the her moveset. The sprain.
Somebody needs to splice the Great Muda into the.
That's getting photoshopped tonight, baby.
I hope so.
Don't you worry about it.
No, not just Photoshop. It needs to be in the opening credits of where I was like.
In the morning and the longest I don't want it. I don't think I'll ever make it on time. Alfred, what's your pick? Who's your tag team partner?
Hold on. I'd have to go with Tori.
Okay.
Remember Tori? Because she wore the leather jacket. She's kind of a badass.
She was there. She was pretty bad. She was
there for half of their senior year.
I mean, she parked in Zach's parking spot. So I mean, she's got to be a tough cookie right there because no one parks in Zach's parking spot except Zach Morris. I mean, even Mr. Belladine doesn't park in Zach Morris's parking spot.
So y'all are all fools. I'm picking Zach Morris because he can totally just say timeout. And then I just go into the old low blow.
Good call. Good call.
The 1, 2, 3.
I think
you guys are amateurs, and you're the worst heels the business has ever seen.
Would that be the name of the finishing move, the timeout? Would that be the name of it?
That'll work.
Here he comes with the timeout. There it is, timeout. And then you just hit with the elbow. Time in.
The low blow because the referee's frozen too, so you can do
right. Exactly. So you got to hit time in, right? So the count can go.
Yeah. So anyway, that's fun.
Leave us a comment. Who would your Saved by the Bell tag team partner be? Let us know.
Yeah, we should make this as a Facebook poll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad. No one chose Slater. He was like actually a wrestler on the show.
Yeah, he's like a legit physical specimen, and like we're all like, I don't want Slater.
I was going for more of the laugh, and then I was like, well, if we're going to be serious,
I know,
like,
especially
Slater.
Especially being recruited for Iowa to go wrestling over there. I mean, that's something serious when he got recruited to go play.
Wasn't Mr. Belding a wrestling coach as well?
No, I don't know.
remember him getting on the headgear.
I don't think so.
I don't.
We'll have to ask. Our buddy Doug at work is like the Saved by the Bell savant. He'll know.
Is he really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll ask him tomorrow when we see him.
All right. So wrestling news, Brandon. What are you thinking about wrestling this past week, man?
Oh boy, this is maybe a can of worms, perhaps. Now I will say on the big stage, on the worldwide stage, it hasn't had too much of an impact. And of course, I'm speaking about the stuff that's been going on Twitter with the speaking out movement. I think Impact has been affected somewhat, Impact Wrestling. But as far as WWE, I mean, yeah, Jack Gallagher got let go, but they kept that real quick and didn't even say anything about it. Just he's gone. He gone.
Well, and his allegation was like very severe. It was like It was the one time that I actually saw the rape word used in all of this. It was like, hey, he raped somebody.
Yeah. And then, of course, it made the rounds that Sammy Guevara has been suspended from AEW. So I guess that had some sort of an effect. Of course, his was just because of a comment he said on a podcast 4 years ago. And somebody dug it up, and it's just bad timing for him. And, of course, it was a terrible joke, but it is what it is, and now he's paying for it. But, yeah, so for anybody out there that hasn't seen the news in the wrestling world, it mostly hit the indie scene in the UK, right? And then it made its way over to the indie scene in America. And people started a hashtag speaking out movement, calling out the dirty deeds that have been done behind the scenes.
Done dirt cheap, too.
Yeah. So, it's just a crazy time. And this is on top of the year 2020 with all the other chaos that's been going on, and now throw this into the mix for the wrestling world. So, it's been an interesting, you brought it up on last week's show briefly, and I think the day we recorded last week, like it was just starting to break all the news. Right. So I hadn't even heard it. I don't think Mossman had heard it yet. You had heard a little bit, and we didn't talk about it much.
Because I'm delivering in journalism. I have to have heard of it.
Right. Anyways, but now that after that show, the whole weekend was just filled with more and more and more allegations and more people coming forward and more people getting called out. So after last week's show, it's there's been a whole lot that's happened since.
But we all know the headlines, and we'll get into that as well. But this is obviously a sensitive subject, and as a disclaimer, before I go into this first idea I have for a segment here, but as a disclaimer, like it's never okay, it's never okay to abuse someone. It's never okay to take advantage of someone. And if you do see something like that going on, report it to the authorities. Like, don't play around with that. That's not funny. People need to be more respectful of other human beings. That's coming from my heart. I'm sure all three of you agree that there's just no place for any kind of sexual abuse or harassment in the world.
I don't think there's any place for abuse, period, in the world. I think, again, whether it's sexual, physical, whatever the case may be, I mean, just stop being such a shitty person and do the right thing.
Yeah. It'd be excellent out there, man. And so anyway, I just kind of want to, excuse me, I kind of want to know what your immediate reactions were. I'll start because I'll probably have the best version of everything. But I don't mean to make light of this situation, but
well, we're and just to clarify some of this for the people that are listening, we are still a comedy show. I mean, we're not making light of any of the allegations or anything that's happening in the world today, but occasionally we are gonna, crack a laugh. So.
It's taken over the wrestling world right now, so it's definitely something that we at least need to mention and at least kind of touch on.
Absolutely.
And then there's definitely some other stuff we can move on to with the Undertaker series wrapping up over the weekend and all that good stuff. So,
which by the way, Undertaker.
Well, are those your facts? Your
So we have COVID.
Adam fact.
We have YouTube no posting. I have a thought on that. Then we have sexual abuse allegations, and we have Renee Young COVID. Oh no! And then we have Undertaker.
Wait a minute! Oh no! Oh no!
First of all,
congratulations! We must have stolen another shirt. It looks like you got some more notes there, so we must have stolen a couple of shirts there.
What?
Because we got more post-it notes. We must have sold a couple more shirts.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Was that weird? I don't get it. Okay.
No, I didn't get your joke, but I get it now that you explained it. Sorry, buddy.
I'm just gonna look outside.
I thought it was funny.
That was a good one.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you put in the canned laughter on that?
Mm-hmm.
Too late.
So, anyway, I did notice before we get to like what our initial reaction to this was, and we can kind of speak globally here. But I did notice I got home before I was called and summoned to deliver unbiased journalistic integrity on the Mean Street Podcast. You can also buy a T-shirt for that at prowrestlingtees.com/meanstreetpod. So I was on my TV waiting to come to the Mean Street Podcast, deliver some unbiased journalistic integrity. I was watching the journalism TV, and I was noticing on YouTube that there weren't a whole lot of people talking about it. Like typically Chris Van Vliet gets stuff out quick, and a lot of these other YouTube wrestling personalities, Wrestling with Regret, some of these other guys, nothing was there.
I got to be honest real quick, and not to skirt the issue, but I didn't realize there were other wrestling things on YouTube besides us.
You are a saint. Alfred, put him down for a 100% raise.
You got it.
But yeah, no, that's crazy though that you bring that up. I'm shocked that, I mean, it's all over Twitter, and I know you're not on social media.
Yeah.
But it's all over social media.
All over social media, but I think that the pundit talking heads are afraid to bring it up because they're afraid to talk about like specifics because there's still allegations. But anyway, I want to get to the way I felt about it first because we've had all these issues with the COVID, with the shelter in place, with George Floyd, with racial inequality issues, with protests and riots. And then I'm just like, the one thing that I want to go home to and not freaking care about this stuff and turn it off for a minute and to have fun and to let loose, to have a good time is now tainted with whatever is happening.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, how wrestling was our like saving grace during this horrible 2020 we've been having. And then you're right, you come home and you're like, oh no, this is awful too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Brandon, what was your first thought?
Very similar to what you just said. Like I just, it was like, what else can happen? Yeah, it's like this is the one escape we have right now with all the other chaos that's going on in the world, and so you just kept seeing the list of names growing and growing and growing, and I kept thinking like, okay, well now eventually some of my favorites may end up on this list, and again, a lot of it's still allegations at this point, but I mean, well, I'll say it's out there. Like Marty was on the list, and he's one of my favorites. And
he opened up about what happened to him too. Like he actually discussed it.
Did he? So I haven't seen all of the fallout yet. And I'm sure it'll be happening over the coming weeks. But I mean, it's just certain things where you start recognizing names because a lot of these were not. I don't mean to laugh. If you're watching us on YouTube, the Max just got a little more crowded. Behind Alfred there. But if you saw the list of names, like a lot of these are people I'd never heard of from different indie scenes from the UK or from the US. But then when you start seeing names that you recognize, you're thinking like, oh man, are you kidding me? And it got real odd to me. Not that it was really that unexpected, but when the Joey Ryan stuff came out, my first thought was like, holy crap, I picked this dude up from the airport and took him to a show and then called one of his matches last summer, and it just kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies a little bit because some of the stuff that's coming out about him, again, allegations, I don't know the truth. It's all on the internet, and you never know what to believe on the internet. But man, he's getting some really terrible things thrown out about him, and it just kind of gave me the creeps a little bit because like DC and I spent a whole car ride with him, and thinking back, you're just like, what a jerk, what a skis bag, It's like I just. Anyways, it's just a very crappy time right now. But at the same time, I'm glad this needs to happen, because I would love to clean up the wrestling world and get rid of all these scumbags. And, I said to a friend the other day, I kind of hope that whether it's next year, maybe in the next few years, we look back on 2020, as bad of a year as it's been so far. Maybe we'll be able to look back on 2020 and go, you know what? That was the time that it all started to get better.
Yeah, that's a very positive outlook. Adrian, what you got?
The only thing that I've really got is really the Sammy Guevara issue. I'm not one of these guys that believes in cancel culture. With prior, sexual assault allegations, yes, that makes sense to me. I understand that. However, with the Sammy Guevara incident, where he just said he made a really stupid joke 3 years ago before he was signed with AEW, when he was like, 20, 21, 22, something along those lines. If people, you can't sit there and tell me you never made a stupid joke or I've said some horrible things at the age of 21, 22 because I was a stupid ass kid, and the fact that people dig that up and try to ruin his career now, I'm over that whole.
I think they're trying to make an example of him because, clearly, because I agree. Like I feel bad for him because that was just a stupid off the cuff comment trying to be like a little shock jockish or whatever he's trying to do.
That's exactly what I heard. And I was like, and I listened to him like, oh, that was really stupid. But at the same time, I'm sitting there going, no, he's a stupid kid. So
and don't take this that I'm like saying it's okay, because it was a terrible joke, and I don't, I would never say that. Like, I don't even know why you would say that when you describe your attraction to somebody, that's the phrase you would use.
Yeah.
but whatever. He said it. It was stupid, and I don't agree that.
Well, I don't know. I'm just gonna play devil's advocate here because I get what you're saying, and I understand. Like I've said stupid things. I still say stupid things. But certainly when I was 21, I said a lot of things for shock humor. That was Adrian. We were the same as we are now back then, but we were just dumber. Yeah.
Now, granted, we never said this kind of stuff in public or on like recorded audio, but
but we never, like, didn't he say rape? Like,
yeah, I think the line was. We
never said stuff. Hang on. No. But we never said stuff like that. Like, we would say, "Oh, I wanted to do this and that and this."
Yeah.
But we never would have used like sexual assault words.
Yeah.
That was my point. Like, I get he's trying to, but that's not the phrase he should have used. I mean, he shouldn't have said anything disgusting anyway, but especially that word. Like, that's like the worst thing you could have said.
I think that's the point Adrian's trying to make is that, like, when you're young and stupid, you will say like shock value things that will
just to get a reaction. You do to get a reaction.
But the things that we would have said, and most decent people would say, would even in a moment of error and speaking and trying to get shock humor value, like, it would always, like, in our head, it was always like consensual. You know what I mean? Like, it was never like, oh, I want to tie her up and do something against her will.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And like I said,
nobody's talking like that.
Yeah, and like I said, of course, it was a horrible thing. But let's look at what happened today, or not today, but whenever this took place, was that he took responsibility for it. I think he even directly responded to Sasha Banks and apologized to her for what he said.
Supposedly they actually talked to each other. I guess he called her at some point, and they both spoke, and then he posted it publicly, an apology, and she posted a public accepting the apology, and but then he still, and I guess he posted a video, which I haven't seen. I guess he posted a video for the fans, kind of explaining and apologizing. Yeah. I haven't seen that, but
he's one of those kids where I'm not a Sammy Guevara fan or anything like that. I mean, I do think he's got a bright future.
He's got Xbox.
Look, after last week's show and finding out how much Adam disliked him, I had a mind to think that Adam's the one that dug up the old audio, but I wasn't sure if that was the case or not.
That could have been it. But like I said, I'm not a big fan of the guy. I mean, he hasn't really done anything to really like kind of wow me. But I mean, he's a young kid, and I like to see what he's got to offer. I'm sure he can entertain us in the future, but just the fact that people want to go here and just dig up old stupid crap that you said online, and again, that goes back to what Adam and I always preach about, of just keeping stupid crap off the internet, and just this like I said, this cancel culture garbage. It's just one of the things that just really, really racks my brain. I just can't figure it out.
Yeah. Hang on one second, Alfred. But to your point, like the cancel culture is one thing, but when you do talk about rape, I do.
No, you talk about bringing up actual criminal allegations against stuff that people that did things that were illegal. Yes, all day long, because there's no statute of limitations on rape or anything like that. You know,
but even like joking about rape, I don't think it's cool. And so I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think that's cancel culture. Cancel culture is like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't have a.
Maybe it's just a gray area that we're just not.
So I know you guys,
right now.
you guys, and I don't keep up with it much either. Keep up with Impact Wrestling, but you keep using the phrase cancel culture. So when Joey Ryan had switched his gimmick, and that's what it was called. That. His gimmick now is called cancel. Like his group is called Cancel Culture, or was.
Hang on, save that thought, Alfred. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to say that about.
No, you're good. No, you're good.
I just thought how ironic it was that's.
Yeah, I didn't even pick up on that, Brandon. That's good.
He's done. But go ahead, Alfred. That's all I had to say.
No, you're good. No, I'm good. Well, I mean, I don't know. I just like these people just grew. For us, we grew up in a time when there wasn't like social media and all this kind of stuff. So we know what the world was like before this kind of. So we have something to compare it to. These young kids, they don't know what it's like not to have social media. So they don't know that they don't know the consequences of what they do because to them it's normal at this point.
Yeah.
It's just they don't get that you put something up on the internet. We realize it's there forever. They don't think they realize that it's there forever. So
isn't that crazy to think that things that you could say as a 21-year-old are just exposed to everyone? We never ever had that thought, to your point.
They're saved in an old tweet, they're saved in an old Facebook post, and if you ever become famous, somebody will go dig that up to try to ruin you. And yeah, that's insane to think about. Could you imagine if when we were 21 or coming out of high school in our teen years, like if all that stupid crap would have ever ended up on the internet, like everybody was, did stupid things, to your point earlier. And man, I could imagine if I could like go back now and just look at stupid crap I did, in high school and college and.
Or even earlier this afternoon, dude, you were ridiculous.
Hey, what is going on here?
Like, come on, put your shirt back on. We're at work.
I know. Well, the thing was, though, like, you didn't let me explain. I can't think of anything, so I'll tell you later.
Oh man. So let's get back to this and what we're going to do with this kind of going forward. So for example, I'll tell you a little dumb story about me. When this broke out, like a coworker of mine, she was like, "Hey, how's your day?" And I was like, "Well, there's so many sexual abuse allegations in pro wrestling right now, and I'm really kind of upset about it." Like it literally affected my day to the point to where like someone asked me how I was, and I was like, that was my response. And I play a video game called Animal Crossing. It is on the Nintendo Switch, and I've put like 200 hours into it. I don't care if the world knows that. And if you're a meanie out there and you have a Nintendo Switch and you want to be my friend on Animal Crossing, just give me a shout. But
nerd.
If I may, but Animal Crossing, like you can create stuff and like create your town however you want it to look, and like and I was able to create a wrestling arena. I removed the wrestling arena from my Animal Crossing island this week, and that seems trivial, but like I was like, I don't know how I feel about wrestling right now. Like I really don't, because number one, it's been tough to watch because of COVID. And number two, now it basically seems like a bastion of sexual abusers. And Brandon, I see that you no longer have your Marty foam finger in the background. So talk to me about that.
I took it down. And again, I don't know the full story yet, but if he gets cleared of all charges, I'll put it back up. But I don't think he will. It's not looking good.
Well, I can see everybody's tweets and DMs behind me here, and it's not going to be fun.
Oh yeah, you're in the WWW, aren't you?
Still in cyberspace over here.
Yeah. You're in the World Wide Web, which, by the way, World Wide Web is fewer syllables than WWW. So the fact that we say WWW really makes me mad. It's less efficient.
Adam fact.
Boom.
Adrian, you look like you said a hernia.
So hey, real quick, whenever we promote the website, can we start saying worldwideweb.mainstreetpodcast.com?
Please do. I will never say www
Wait, hey, what
again.
is .com? Is com computer? What is com? Communication?
Probably.
Well, so World Wide Web. No, we'll just still say .com then.
Yeah, you like my response to that? That's how like you trick people to know what you're talking about. You say probably.
Maybe so.
Perhaps.
Anyway,
Maybe.
Possibly.
So, Alfred, how is are these sexual abuse allegations? Are they changing the way that you view our beloved sport?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is the thing. It's like it's in this kind of mad world of media and online blogs and all that. It seems that not saying that it's good that we're cleaning things up. And also what's really bad about it is like, who knows how long this has proceeded this time. Like, how back does this go? And
as long as the line of Space Mountain is.
It's pretty long.
Yes. So, but at the same time, it's such a touchy situation because you want to make sure that they have their due process and that things come out. Because I think sometimes the media reports things that we don't know, and I think sometimes it's and I don't know, maybe for someone who's in law enforcement who has to investigate, just like kind of the whole situation with the NASCAR situation that happened. Like, you know, you want all the facts out there first before things are kind of dispensed out for people's public consumption.
Yeah, and we're too quick. I think we're too quick to just hear somebody say something, or read a headline, and we make our judgment based on that before waiting on the evidence.
It's as crappy as it is to say, we live in a society now where people are only interested in a way to promote themselves and put themselves out there in front of people. And they'll take advantage of it. They'll see a gate open and they're going to try to get in through the gate. And some people might not get through, but some are. And there are some that are going to be proven false, but that's what happens with an investigation.
Yeah. No, you're right on the money. You're right on the money with that. Because, like I said, if it just gives it more time, and if things need to be brought to light, then so long as the proper evidence and proof
the problem is there's so many media outlets who want to be the first to report. They want to be the first one to, because then all the eyeballs are on their side or their television network or all of that. So is it a situation where like even the whole Kobe Bryant situation, we don't know the facts of what happened. We just have the speculation of what people think happened, or what this expert thinks, or what this expert thinks. So,
well, the helicopter crash, right?
Yeah.
No, he's talking.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
about the helicopter crash?
Yes, I'm talking about the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash. Like, we don't know what happened initially. We got to get the black box, and they got to do an investigation and do all that. You know what I mean? I want to get I don't want to hear what someone thinks might have happened. I'd rather see what the facts are, and then we'll see what happened. I guess.
And as far as before I transition that over, Adrian, I'd like to get your opinion on that. But when it comes to self-promotion, you're exactly right. That's the world we live in, and that's why you can actually go to prowrestlingtees.com/MainStreetPod right now.
Right.
To get an Unbiased Journalist Integrity t-shirt.
Real quick, before you finish that, it's actually worldwideweb.prowrestlingtees.com/MainStreetPod.
Thank you. I just got a note from my producer. It's actually worldwideweb.mainstreetpod. Whatever the heck it is.
just go to Google, type in World Wide Web and Main Street.
So Adrian, how can you comment on that from your perspective? I don't want to say what type of perspective, but like from your perspective, how social media is impacting behavior at all? I mean,
it's given everybody a voice. And it's kind of a toss-up on if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's a good thing for the fact that it allows people to tell their story in a safe environment where they don't get to feel, judged or anything like that, but they actually have a way to get it off their chest. And the other side of that is the fact that it gives everybody a voice to where they want to come to their judgment without having any prior knowledge or experience in doing so, of just just saying what they want to say because that's what they believe, that's what they feel, without looking at any proof or evidence. And I know a big time podcaster that I like to listen to is Chris Hardwick. I mean, he almost got his entire career destroyed over a false sexual assault allegation because a lady said something that he did, and he in the end was proven innocent. But the fact that she said that, and that he's saying that this never happened. I mean, he lost his job at AMC, he lost his podcast, everything, and then it took him several years to kind of get it back going again, and had to kind of clear his name, because once people hear what they want to believe, they'll run with it. And it sucks, man. It sucks for the people that actually have gone through legitimate assaults, sexual assaults, things like that.
But that's the problem when they break these stories before it's done.
Yeah,
is that
absolutely.
They have to instead of, because you never hear that story. Mm-hmm. You don't hear the story that he was proven innocent or the investigation concluded that this was a false claim, because then the news organizations have to basically call out their mistake, that they reported it wrong. You can look back as far, even like a perfect example, the whole Duke lacrosse situation. Look how that was pretty much played out in the media, and not saying that these kids didn't do anything wrong or were, didn't do wrong things, but here's, played out in the media, these kids could have gone to jail for the rest of their lives. But with good detective work and good police work and good investigating, they found out that she changed her story and that it wasn't true, and they talked to other witnesses, and manipulation was done to try to, it wasn't about justice. It was about,
it's really hard. It's really hard to battle facts and proof and evidence when you have people that are just relying on emotion, and it really sucks. It sucks for the victims more than anything else. Adam, go ahead.
Let's get to the emotion aspect in a second, but as far as the media and how the media reports it goes, the media will typically, like even those mainstream bias streams of media like Fox or CNN, they will, which they're fake news people, and I'm here to silence the falseness, okay? And they will actually redact stories, but they're this big on their website and no one sees them, and the damage has been done.
Yep.
That's the thing, and how fast-paced the world is with 24/7 news, with social media. Like, only the big things are picked up, and then they just run with them, and then your baby boomer mom shares them. And it's just like, hey, that's not true. That was actually redacted. But no one knows what actual journalism is except for the Mean Street podcast.
Exactly. Well, that your point exactly, because then all the other footage came out. Instead of them looking for other footage, they just took the one camera angle, like the kid, the Suleiman kid, who settled with CNN. With that story with the indigenous American gentleman.
The what American?
The Native American who was out there protesting, right? Right.
And the kid was wearing a MAGA hat, right. And it turns out like they were just there on a field trip.
Oh yeah.
Right. They were basically waiting for the bus, and then there was a lot of commotion because there was another protest going on, and basically, if you just got all the camera footage and looked at it and pieced it together, you would have seen that the kid was just there. It wasn't like he approached him. It wasn't like, it wasn't like he was blocking anybody. And CNN ran with it and made this kid look like a complete just dick all over television, basically. Every network, every pundit, everyone was telling how he was a horrible kid, that his parents were probably horrible people. And it was just a misunderstanding because people didn't see all the evidence. They looked at one video, plastered it all over the news. This kid got basically destroyed, and CNN had to pay a lot of money for that mistake. But
he's counting stacks on stacks on stacks right now. So
yes, pretty soon he'll be able to buy CNN. So,
and
and you will be bought.
well, speaking else of, about speculation, something else that big happened today, man, or this week was the last ride, man. What did you guys?
Well, hey,
Thank God for the transition. Wait, what are we? Oh, we're not done.
Hang tight.
Nice try, Adrian.
I love it, Brandon.
I was looking at Brandon. Brandon's like, please, let's go.
I love Brandon because he just
look,
he doesn't want to interrupt and be.
It's not that I don't mind talking about. I don't mind talking about this topic, but it's like, man, we are getting way off on different. Like now we're getting on past stories. I want to try to bring it back at least to the wrestling topic.
No,
that we initially started with.
That's why your boy's here. So I was raising my hand about 30 times. And
I thought you were just like dancing. I couldn't. You got to be more specific.
I thought you were going. That's a good point, Adrian. I like that.
And now you're frozen.
So,
oh no, there he is.
There you are.
So we also have to ask ourselves how long these things have been happening, and how permeated pro wrestling is with them. Like that's what's coming to light. Is that I mean, the things that have been said about Ric Flair. There have been, I mean, like, are we really going to celebrate him? Where's the line?
There's stuff that happened in the past or stuff that I've seen lately talking about, like, where was all this talk when Pat Patterson was doing the things he was doing back in the day? I don't know what those things were, but apparently there's rumors out there of stuff that happened years and years ago. But yeah, you're right. Like, I'm sure this has been happening forever.
So for me, like talking about how we're going to handle pro wrestling going forward, like I really struggled this past week with whether or not I wanted to keep on doing the podcast, with whether or not I wanted to keep on watching wrestling, because like I don't know if I want to support this to quote Star Wars, and I don't mean this with levity, to support a hive of scum and villainy.
But again, I mean, it's not going to be the entire roster of every affiliation for wrestling. If you had a chance to watch AEW this week and watched SCU versus FTR, that will make you. I'm telling you right now, if you watch that match, it will make you a wrestling fan again.
It was good. And I
know. Let me ask you, Adam. Is would your view change on that topic if it's handled appropriately by the wrestling company that the situation's under? If something's brought to the attention of AEW or WWE, the way they handle it and the way that you see them execute it, do you think that would change your mind in the way that you would view the sport if it was done in a way that you felt was appropriate punishment for due process to find out if it's true or not, and if it's true, the consequences will be handed down?
Yeah, maybe. And I think that it starts with the biggest ones. I think it starts with WWE. I think that you have to create a paradigm shift, to quote John Moxley, right? To create a culture shift, a culture change. Because basically when you start at the top, that's what everyone on the independents aspires to be. And that's where all this started. And so this over-sexualized backroom, locker room mentality is just all over. It's saturated in the independents. It seems from all these allegations, it seems like it's everywhere in the independents. And so if you take the top dog and you say, hey, we don't accept stuff like that, and if AEW certainly will follow suit, they probably already have. And that's the thing, is I'm sure that it's a lot different, but this is permeated into wrestling culture. I fear. I really fear that it's just there. And I get why. Because it's a physical sport. It's a testosterone-fueled sport. It's an over-sexualized, fueled sport in a lot of ways. So you go backstage and you see a bunch of people who are in co-ed locker rooms who are exposing themselves. Like, that's going to have a psychological and physiological effect on the human body. And these young kids, 21, like Sammy Guevara was, they're going to do and say stupid things. So I don't know I don't know, to answer your question, Alfred, I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if it's possible to govern that or regulate that on the independent level.
I just hope, like I said earlier, I just hope that 2020, hopefully this whole situation will be the start of a change, of that shift that you mentioned. and I hope there's a way out of it. I really do, because like you said, man, I all the fans that grew up just loving this sport and then seeing what's happening and then kind of discovering that, holy crap, this has probably been going on the whole time, but I've just been blind to it.
The airplane ride from hell, like Ric Flair, like exposes himself to a woman. Like if that happened in 2020, holy smokes.
Yeah. Well,
so
and even
like this stuff.
Stone Cold had an issue, and I think it was when he was still married to Deborah, maybe like a domestic violence issue, you know, and so yeah, this stuff like that. And I won't say, you know, that was terrible. It wasn't as terrible as some of the other stuff that's coming out of what people have done, but it's just all terrible. Like I don't even want to try to put like a
but obviously, but this is the thing. It all depends on the generation. It all depends on the people who are in the independent circuits. If you want, just like this whole COVID-19 situation, if you wanted to stop, the people have to at some point change the way things go about. So you hope that the future sees the errors of the past to prevent it from happening in the future.
Yeah, and that's never worked, unfortunately. I wish that was the case.
But if that's the case, then the only people you can blame are then those who are not teaching these kids the way that's, you know what I mean? That's the thing. Where do you put the blame? Do you put the blame on the teachers who are trying to instruct these kids and tell them, like, listen, this is the right way to do it. This is the wrong way to do it. Things are different now than they were when I did it. And so at some point, someone has to lead that march and say that, and then you hope the others follow. I
agree with
Adam's saying good point.
I'm saying good point. That's a great point, Alfred. But what I will say before we transition into a final segment that will hopefully be positive is my question right now as a wrestling fan is, do I want to support pro wrestling? Ultimately, like, do I want to support it? Do I want to support any of the promotions? Do I want to support anything about pro wrestling? Because I don't want my money going to a man who openly admits to sexually abusing women. We used to think it was funny or whatever, but like it's not. And so I just don't know. And I think that we all need to ask ourselves as fans, because ultimately, guess what? Guess who turns the tides in the world of pro wrestling more than anyone else? It's us, the fans. So that's what you need to ask yourself, is what do you want to support and how do you want to support it? Do you want to write even on the independent local scene, do you want to send an email or a Facebook message to ask for clarification on what they're doing to protect people in their locker rooms? Do you want to push for change there? Be active in that. And ask questions about what they're doing to protect people. On a maybe lighter note,
it's not a lighter note, because I feel a certain kind of way about it.
Undertaker, The Last Ride, episode 5 came out. Adrian, I'll let you take it if you have some thoughts on it.
I'm glad that it happened the way it did. I think it is, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but it's technically Taker's unofficial retirement.
No.
So Adam
saying no.
said no.
I think it's the retirement of the Undertaker. Now, maybe the character of Mark Calloway might come back and maybe do something. Maybe, I don't, because we've always said that he was so into the character of the Undertaker that he never wanted to break that character. That was always such a thing for him. Now that he's broken that character, that's, you know what I mean? That's something that he said he never wanted to do.
Alfred, this means great thought. So hold that great thought. Adrian, keep going.
I haven't watched all of the documentary. I did watch that last episode, but there are episodes in between that I did miss. But that last episode was really good, and it was, even though it was him saying that this cowboy's gonna finally ride off, or however that line was that he delivered. Even though it was like it's kind of bittersweet. It's warm. It's still very sad. To me, it gave me closure, because this is a character that's been going solid for 30 years, and I think it was great, man. It absolutely almost brought a tear to my eye watching it, man. You know, it really did. And it's cool. It's cool to feel that way, especially with what's going on in wrestling, like we just talked about. It's cool to watch that segment and watch that documentary, and then remember why you love pro wrestling. You know.
Well said. Well said, Alfred. I want to end with you because I think that you actually have the right answer. But because my answer, like, I want to respond to like how we feel about this, but my answer, I think my answer is, it's probably right, but yours is definitely right. Brandon, give me some thoughts on the last ride.
Brandon, give us your wrong answer.
Yeah. So Well, here's the incorrect answer is that
I'm going to start telling that to people when they ask me a question. Let me take the wrong answer.
So first of all, it was probably one of the best all-around documentaries. There's just 5 episodes. I think each one was about an hour long. So if you haven't seen it yet, go on the network and check it out. It was super well done, covering like the last 3 or 4 years of his career and up until this past year's WrestleMania that just happened. So it's very well done. I will say, you know, right after it ended, or right after we watched it on Sunday, Adam sent to the group text, like, did I miss something? Like, how is this his retirement? Because, and I replied that the WWE has all but implied it. So with all of their posts on social media, they're definitely implying that that was an official retirement. But if you watch it, he never said the words retire. He also said if Vince was in a pinch and called him, he would think about it. So to me, that's not saying like, I'm done, I'm never coming back. That's him saying, yeah, you know, I'll think about it. Which, if you watch the documentary, every time they brought something up to him, he would say, yeah, I'll think about it. And then he would eventually come back in. And then it wouldn't live up to the hype. And so he felt like he had to do another match to end on a higher note. Now, he said he was ending on that, or sort of ending on that Boneyard match, which was a cool, I think it got majority positive reviews, way more than the negative reviews, I think. And I enjoyed it. But I definitely want to see him in an arena full of people go out on a note.
He needs a proper send off. He needs that proper live event send off. You know, and I absolutely agree with you on that. On your wrong answer, I totally agree with you. I'll be wrong with you, man.
So I don't know. So my thing is, like Adam said, like, how did that look like? How was it a retirement? So I kind of am with you there a little bit, which I don't like agreeing with Adam typically, but in this case, I kind of a little bit. Because, he never said the words retire, and I feel like he did that intentionally, almost. Like, because I was watching, like, during the final minutes of that documentary going, like, is he going to actually say it? And he never did. He said just the line about the cowboy riding off. And, so anyways, what's the right answer, Adam?
Both Alfred and I have right answers. Mine is, like, sort of right now, and Alfred's is about going forward. But I will say that the 3 out of 4 of us right now work for a marketing company, right? So like, we know that nothing hits a screen without going through many people, right? So it was not a retirement. It was very strategic. He'll be back in a certain way. I'll tell you how he'll be back, and it's gonna be awesome. And I'm gonna be right.
Adam?
Mm-hmm.
I lost my train of thought.
I thought he muted his mic.
Well, I was going to say we also heard that he signed.
Thought he froze again.
We also heard that he signed a 15-year contract. So I mean, he's going to be around in some form or fashion. Whether or
he's
not
he's going to host the new season of Tough Enough.
I remember my thought. So not only do I think that it wasn't a retirement, but I think that we're seeing something that has never been done before. And of course, it's going to be The Undertaker. And after episode 1, my first thought was, if Hogan wouldn't have messed up and become a victim of cancel culture, that we would be watching a Hulk Hogan series right now and not The Undertaker series. I really do believe that.
Well, I think another thing that The Undertaker can do, he can go to the direction of The Big Show and do a show on Netflix.
A sitcom?
Hey, I do want to get your opinion. I do want to get your opinion on that. But I really do think that we should be watching a Hulk Hogan series right now. I'm going to be completely honest with you. And I mean, granted, he said some racist things, and that's horrible. But I think that we would have been seeing that. So we're seeing a retirement, or something leading up to a retirement, like the pro wrestling world has never seen before, and I think that's pretty daggum awesome.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I think you're right. Alfred does have the right answer, because having a sitcom television show with Mark Calloway playing the Undertaker, living with a normal family, would be fucking hilarious.
It'd be like the present day Munsters.
Yeah. It would be like Herman Munster living with the Brady Bunch.
Right,
yes,
exactly.
yes,
Totally.
That would be so hilarious.
CBS got your fall program.
Dad, the lawnmower's not working. He just goes out there and like picks up the lawnmower, tombstones it on the yard.
Yeah, that wacky neighbor, he just kicks ass, so just throws him over the bushes.
Like when he says goodnight, he's like, "I hope you get some good rest."
You hear the doo-doo-doo, and then the credits roll.
Yeah,
I do think that we're seeing retirement like never before, and I think it's awesome and spectacular. Watch the series. I do think, though, like this is just stemming from both the series not being a retirement and also in conjunction with the Boneyard match makes me think that we actually will see, mark my words, we are going to see a cinematic match between Sting and The Undertaker.
That's who I was going to ask you, was because I don't think it was Sting. I think his WWE contract is up. But I mean, who's to say that can't get fixed? But other than Sting, yeah, that's true. Other than Sting, who would you like to see his final match be against?
It's going for another
Sting.
Brandon?
Well, so I was telling a buddy the other day, a couple days ago, I said, kind of what I said to you about Undertaker earlier, and I said, but if he does come back, he needs to come back and do it against Sting. And I think Stang. And so Sting kind of comes out of retirement. Taker comes out of retirement, if you can even call it that. And they have a big final match in an arena full of people where they can get a huge send-off. Now, who wins that match, I don't know.
Do
they have a dusty finish or what?
I got you, fam. No, I got you, fam.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm going to say.
What are you going to say?
You said it's not Sting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm you and me, Adrian, let's say it at the same time. 3, 2, 1.
Bray Wyatt. Oh,
you think Bray Wyatt? No, Hulk Hogan.
I think
he came in.
Hulk Hogan can't have any. Hulk Hogan can barely move.
But with the cinematic matches, you can do anything.
Yeah, that's true. I keep forgetting about the cinematic thing.
But to your point,
Bray Wyatt, that's done.
But to your point,
they already did a match, didn't they?
Yeah,
they did, but it should have been the Fiend version of Bray Wyatt, but it wasn't. But oh well.
You really ruined that, Adrian.
I'm sorry. I didn't know what you were going to say.
I thought you were Hogan. You're a Hogan guy.
I guess you guys are not as best friends as you thought you guys were.
Honestly, like my top pick would probably be either Brock or someone like Aleister Black. I wouldn't want to see. I wouldn't want to see Sting. I really wouldn't.
I think I think the universe deserves it.
I'm not saying it doesn't deserve it. I just think that Sting can just nobody wants to see him scoot around the ring anymore. He looks
but not the ring. No, I'm talking cinematic match.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about the cinematic match. Yes,
if Clint Eastwood can act at 99,
but he needs a live send off though, man. He needs to have that crowd.
He's already had it. Roman Reigns.
Come on. We walked out of that match. You remember that? We left.
Yeah, you're like, fuck it, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But I mean, honestly, yeah, it was bad. But yeah, let's go back to Alfred and his point of Mark Calloway. And WWEshop.com has already started selling Mark Calloway T-shirts.
Really?
So,
are they the Mean Mark Calloway T-shirts? Because
they actually have a Mean Mark Callis.
No.
T-shirt.
That's cool.
Which that was the first incarnation of Mark that I knew. But Alfred, what makes you go there?
It just makes sense. I think I'm just saying it just to me it just makes sense. You retire the Undertaker. You basically have said he said in this whole thing that the Undertaker was a character that he can never break the character. He did what he said he never wanted to do with that character, which is open that dot to behind the scenes of what he was, who he really is. He never wanted to see the Mark Calloway. It was just Undertaker. Now, because you said if you ever, I think someone said that before amongst this group that he wanted to be known as Mark Calloway now. He wants to be that transition into that care of who he is. So I think at WrestleMania, him and Michelle McCool will tag team against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon for an exile out of WWE match.
Boom, there you go, Alfred.
The
That's
loser.
it. You were right, Adam. You're right, Adam. Alfred was right. That is the right answer.
Adam's like, I regret this decision.
No, but honestly,
I'm gonna make it a tag team match, player.
But I think,
holla.
But I think, no, seriously, I think if he does wrestle again, I mean, it seemed for him hard to use the name Undertaker because it's not that it's tainted or anything, but it's lost to him probably the luster because of the mystique of it. So maybe he might come back and just say, hey, I'll just come back as Mark Calloway. It'll still get just as big of a reception as if, which it might be the reason why he did the docuseries. It gives him that transition. So people now fall in love with Mark Calloway because of how open and honest he is. Instead, now they transition, like all the times he transitioned that Undertaker character from the American Badass to all these other kind of innovations of the character along the way. Now he can transition into Mark Calloway, which now the public has seen. They've seen it. So, I mean, I'm just saying it might, it's possible. Maybe that's like you said, maybe in a pinch, he'll come in a Royal Rumble and come in as Mark Calloway. And then maybe come back as The Undertaker, like how Mick Foley did it with his 3 different personalities in the Royal Rumble. So.
Yeah, I think there's some pros to that, and I think there's some cons to that, and that's for another episode.
I think you're a con.
That's mean.
Alfred, I think you're a pro, and judging from your video quality,
thank you.
We're right on the money with that.
Well, I hired this great established video team out of where we're at here, out of Roswell, Georgia. Mm-hmm. This was the $100 package.
It looks like a James Cameron film. Like
you got every dollar's worth.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I told him I wanted to go with a Saved by the Bell theme. I figured if we're going to continue to do podcasts in this way, I figured I'd have a different theme every week. I figured this would be a great way to promote the video portion of the show, so people would be curious of what the theme of my background is.
Alfred, you said Saved by the Bell, and that kind of reminded me. Adam, ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Oh,
he's tapping out.
Is that what it is? Is that how we're ending this?
I mean, did we really want to keep going about? Ask him!
I forgot we were recording, to be honest.
I'm just saying, this is really awkward.
Hey, I got you.
Alfred's like in Blair
you
Witch.
Look like the Blair Witch. Yeah, what's going on there?
What'd you do, Alfred?
I see dead people.
Alfred, what'd you do with the map?
That's the wrong movie, buddy.
I don't care. What's the line from that movie? What's that main line in there?
Lose I'm so scared, and then you have to have like a teardrop coming in your face.
I'm so excited.
No.
I'm so excited. I'm so
scared.
Saved by the Blair Witch.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I love it.